She called that radio TV. We are live, about to go live, with Supermann on the beat, aka Sanjeev Mann. Sanjeev is a promoter, a beat maker, a producer, an events organiser, and he's just recently started a campaign to raise awareness. Well, not really raise awareness, to actually make some changes to the current infrastructure in Glasgow music venues. And people make Glasgow accessible, which is not an actual real name of a thing, but I just thought it's quite a good way to call it. People make Glasgow accessible, was what I was thinking. Sanjeev, thank you for joining me tonight. How are you doing?
I'm alright, man. I'm alright. I'm just happy to be here.
It's great to finally get you on the show, man. It's been a long time coming. But yeah, so I've been. So let's just go back to when. So like I've only known you for a couple of years, just through your music. So what's been your journey in through hip hop and through events and stuff like that? Just give everyone a wee background. That'd be great, man.
No worries, man. Yeah, so I'm still reasonably new, I feel like, to the scene. And it's kind of been about 3 years-ish. And I started making beats in lockdown. Pretty much is how it all started. But before that, I kind of had a background in journalism. So I've done kind of content for like BBC The Social, The Scotsman, stuff like that. But yeah, so like in lockdown, obviously we had plenty of time on our hands. So yeah, that's kind of how I started making beats. And I just sort of went from there, man. It turned out I had a pretty good ear for it. And I was pretty decent at making beats. It just sort of happened. It was something that I always wanted to do because like I love hip hop and just music generally. So I thought that was the perfect opportunity to start. And yeah, then that just sort of went into Hip Hop Scotland, with me originally just writing content and reviews and stuff for them. I think it was Jonathan Rimmer who ran the site.
Yeah. Right. I remember
Jonathan. The kind of old school heads probably know about Jonathan. Like he did quite a bit with Stand Up Scotland and stuff like that. So this is kind of the progression. But yeah, so he works with an MSP for people that don't know. So he's been really busy with that. So that's kind of why he asked me to see if I want to sort of take over the reins, because I was like kind of the most active doing reviews, and we had the podcast as well started by then. So yeah, he asked me, and then it just sort of went to that. And I feel like my aim was always to, like at the beginning, I wasn't going to do shows, but I kind of found like throughout my journey in the scene that there's like as small as the Scottish hip hop rap scene is, there's still like a group. I feel like there's like a few groups of artists and different genres and stuff like that sort of don't quite feel a part of the scene. So that was my aim, was always to sort of connect those dots. Mostly in areas like R&B, Afrobeat, and also like the alt kind of emo rap scene, which I feel like is sort of separate. So I guess that was the aims of doing the show, and just to give, like, for me, like underrepresented groups the platform, I guess, and that's always been something that's close to me. So yeah.
Amazing. So I've just been reading from I've read a couple of articles, and so is it a particular? When was it you first realised that this was an issue? Because my understanding is you'd only really been at the Hydro or like the kind of sort of bigger venues which have got provisions for wheelchair access and stuff.
Yeah.
So when was the first time you realised that how much of an issue it was in Glasgow for the lack of wheelchair access and stuff?
Yeah, so like as you mentioned, like before kind of got into the scene, it was mostly like obviously Hydro, SWG3, like O2 Academy, places like that where like obviously they're bigger venues, you would sort of expect them to have access, which they do have really good access and platforms and stuff like that. But I guess what I noticed was when I started kind of going to local shows, obviously, because I didn't really know too much about the Scottish kind of rap scene, hip hop scene until kind of 3 years ago when I started making beats. So that's where I could tell that there was something that needed done, because I was going to local gigs that like are realising that there was no access in the venues, or just they had poor access, or like no toilets and stuff like that. So that's kind of when I noticed. But then especially like I kind of highlighted it when I started to do shows, like with Hip Hop Scotland, and started to like perform and do DJ sets, is when it really sort of hit me that like for the handful of venues, small venues that were accessible, like literally one or two had access to the stage. And yeah, that's like Glad Cafe, which is really good for access, and also the Poetry Club at SWG3 is the only two sort of that size that I can really think of that would be like suitable for like a hip hop gig or whatever. So yeah, that's kind of when I noticed that there was
So
a
is it, so,
problem,
the,
and then
so what
also
makes the Poetry Club in SWG3 So what's the Poetry Club and Glad Cafes? Is there ramps up onto the stage?
yeah. So firstly, like their general access is really good with toilets and bars and like the viewing areas. But yeah, they have like ramps to get onto the stage. Granted, like Poetry Club, the stage is that high, so it's probably a little bit easier to do so, I guess. But yeah, they have good access. And the Glad Cafe, just the same. They have like ramp access to the stage. But yeah, there's literally like very few that have access. And I guess like personal experiences as well. With other venues sort of feel that kind of problem we've had and stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah, it is an issue in Glasgow, and I became more and more aware of it just as an event organizer, because we've got friends or fans of bands who come to the gigs, and they would say, "Oh, I can't go to that one because it's not got wheelchair access," and that was I was unaware until it actually affected people. So I think it's really important that we're sort of highlighting this, because a lot of people just don't even think about it. I can be
Aye.
honest and say that it was ignorance on my behalf for sometimes not booking it. And now I do try and go with venues that make it easier for everyone. But
Yeah.
sadly, that's not always possible, because there isn't that many venues that are the right fit for what we're doing. So it can be difficult. So
Yeah.
what in an ideal world, like, so if we've got a magic wand, what happens next? How do we fix this?
I think if we had a magic wand, then the government would just be like, yeah, go get funding to make venues accessible. But I think realistically, I don't know if that's going to happen. But I think with the petition, the aim was like kind of to bring a lot more awareness to the issue. And I think because we've had kind of like the mainstream media talking about it, and it's been on BBC and STV, to me, that's like a win and a step forward to like starting the conversation and getting the ball rolling, just getting more people talking about it. And like, yeah, there's people that have not otherwise thought about it before. Hopefully, they like know about it now, and then like if they ever do shows or whatever, then it's something that they think about kind of going forward. And there has been a couple of venues actually, and kind of promoters that have contacted me saying that they'll make sure any future gigs they do will try and make it accessible. So that's a step forward, I guess.
Well, that's great. It's great that venues are acknowledging it, especially some venues are in like basements, or they might have really high stages, and it might not be possible for them to instantly do something about it. Also, venues are really struggling at the moment as well.
Exactly.
And I think that's another point that you were making. Is you're not asking for the venues themselves to be doing it, but more looking for the government or some sort of
Yeah.
funding body to do something about it.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's unfair to expect venues to like it's obviously it's expensive. Like it's not being realistic. Like it's expensive cost. Like making a venue fairly accessible. So I do understand. And like it's not really a time where people have got like very loose change or they've got any extra money. Like everybody's obviously really tight. But I know obviously like venues are already struggling, like with COVID and stuff like that. So yeah, I think it's just being realistic and try to start a conversation. And I've said a few like I don't really want to. I kind of like to be constructive. Like I want to like try and start a conversation to get things improved rather than just moaning about it like without really saying anything. Get what I mean? Like so, I think that's important as well to sort of say something in a way that's constructive to improve it.
Well, we've got a comment earlier on from Epi saying, hi there for a fellow man. So you've got someone, a
I
fellow man there.
didn't.
Epi says as well, it's great that Sanjeev started this petition, but there shouldn't be an access problem with venues in 2023. I've also put in the comments, guys, I put a link to the petition, which we can have a wee look at here. But yeah, why is sorry? I mean, would you say that Glasgow is particularly bad compared to other cities, or have you compared it with other cities, or have you spoke to other people who are from other cities about how? Do you know where Glasgow fits in the general pecking order of accessibility?
Yeah, so I kind of know a few people around the UK, and I don't think Glasgow's particularly worse than anywhere else, but I think it's probably the lower half. But I think that's just the nature of the geography. So like Glasgow and Edinburgh, obviously it's quite hilly, and a lot of stuff is like in basements. Like historically, that's just where a lot of venues are. So I think Glasgow and Edinburgh are probably like, yeah, just because the geography is probably a little bit worse compared to other venues. But I know people like in London that are facing the exact same thing. Like there's very few venues that have full access. And yeah, I think it's a lot deeper than like just not having access to the stage. Like the reason why there isn't many like the same musicians really. Like I couldn't really name many. So I think it's a bit deeper than that. It's kind of built up over time for kind of attitudes, I feel like. So yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I've put the link for the petition. If you're watching this on YouTube, I know that you might be watching it on Twitch, you might be watching it on Facebook, but if you're watching this or Twitter, but if you're watching it on YouTube, there's a link in the bio to the petition. It's at 877, so if we could try and get that up to 1,000 over the next week or so, that'd be good. And it just means that people will take it. We've got Alan Gray, Big Al says, I was pushing wheelchair at Hydro, who were all very helpful and accommodating, even in my own poor mobility. I feel I need to be realistic, as you say, but this is great, Sanjeev, big ups. Yeah, because I mean, well, you're talking about Edinburgh there, so it's like I'm trying to imagine Edinburgh, but I mean, Edinburgh as a city is just very inaccessible. It's just hills everywhere, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. Like I personally really don't like Edinburgh because of that. Just hilly, and just the cobbles. Like I hate cobbles. Like just so bumpy. There was once like I went to Edinburgh, and it was so cobbly. Like I came back and like the bottom of my chair had like vibrated so much, and it broke like some of the bottom of it, which is crazy. So I'm not a big fan.
Sorry, did your chair break the cobbles, or did the cobbles break the chair?
No, so like the cobbles broke. There's a part of it underneath my chair, but connects like the seat to the wheels.
All right.
And because like the vibrations of the cobbles broke it. So yeah, I'm not a fan of Edinburgh, to be honest. But, yeah.
Ali Grant, poor Ali, who's from Edinburgh, nobody likes Edinburgh. But Ali has signed for thanks for highlighting this. Yeah. And I suppose it's the way Glasgow. Going back to Glasgow, because we're not going to pick in Edinburgh here. We're here to pick in Glasgow. Actually, if anything, we're picking in Glasgow today. Obviously, I know a bit more about Glasgow than Edinburgh anyway, with regards to venues. But there is the way Glasgow's built. It does seem to be a particular way because there is no beer gardens. There doesn't seem to be space for beer gardens. And during the lockdown and stuff, they started giving some people more permission to build outside. But all people can really do is stick a deck chair out the front door and call it a beer garden.
I think they did a lot of work on Circle Street, didn't they? Like quite a few streets actually, like put the wooden benches out and stuff, which was annoying because it meant there was less accessible. It meant there was less disabled parking spaces, which obviously the subway, there's only like 2 stops in Glasgow that's accessible, so that was a bit annoying that I know I couldn't really park anywhere either. So.
So there's only 2 subway stops that are accessible.
From what I know, yeah. As far as I'm aware, yeah. So that kind of rules it all out, really, doesn't it? If you can only go from one to another station, that you can't go anywhere else. So, yeah.
That's right.
So I guess another issue.
Alan saying done. Well, I mean, this sounds like thanks, Alan, for saying this sounds like definitely something that it's obviously wider than just the music venues.
100%.
Is there any politicians who have been supportive, who have or have you tried to contact any of them? Is anyone on side?
Yeah, so Pamela, I forget her second name, Pamela or something, who's an MP in Glasgow, MSP, sorry, and she like shared it and stuff like that. And she's disabled, so she was like definitely for it and supporting it, and commented a couple of articles, shared it and stuff like that. So I suppose that's good that people are taking to it. I feel like people are like interested, and the media obviously are wanting to do the story, which is good.
Yeah, you've had quite a wee media run. I've been seeing it. Various podcasts and various newspapers. So who's been supporting the campaign so far? Who can we shout out?
Yeah, quite a lot, man. It was like felt like Lewis Capaldi or something, man, doing the press run. But I like a bunch like Radio Scotland, BBC The Nine, STV, Daily Record, Glasgow Live, Glasgow Times. I on quite a few other podcasts. What else was on? Alistair Bainbridge's podcast, spoke on that. Recorded a podcast with 50 today, actually. So, yeah, man, yeah, it's been really good. People seem to be wanting to talk about it, so this is good for me, I guess, that people are sharing it, talking about it in the mainstream, and that's kind of the aim. Because I feel like not enough people talk about it in the mainstream, and that's kind of the root of a lot of the kind of the content, kind of disability activism that I've done in the past. It's kind of always had that aim.
Yeah, no, all my friends that are in wheelchairs and stuff, they seem to just be more. They just seem to be sort of accepting of the fact that it's just so it's good that someone is just saying it because it just makes it. Hopefully, it just makes people think a bit differently. If there's someone about to make a new venue, it's like how can you make it accessible from the start before
Exactly
before they've even built it.
Yeah, I think as you said, like a lot of it is it's kind of like attitudes, and I feel like it all stems to people's original attitudes about disabled people. Like people don't, I feel like venues don't really think that a disabled person would want to perform, but so I guess that's one of the reasons as well. Like people just have a low expectation of disabled people, and I think that's one of the kind of institutional causes over just hundreds of years, I guess. So it's got to take time.
And with regards to from your own journey through music, so what I'm trying to think, because like you said, there is a severely lack of. So I think it's happened twice that I can think of in my own anecdotal experience, where probably 3 times if I'm including yourself, where there's been an artist in a wheelchair who's wanting to go on stage, and what ended up happening in one of the occasions it was a ramp, and the other occasion it was a person performed just off stage, and it's part of the show. So why do you think that? What can we do to get more people onto stages? To first of all be wanting to be on a stage, to make the music and go on a stage and want to do that. Is there something? Where are we going wrong? Why is there not enough wheelchair bound people wanting to be on stage? If you know what I mean.
Yeah. I think it kind of stems from what I said about people's expectation of disabled people. Like, if like that's kind of one of the reasons why there isn't many disabled musicians, and the other one is like role models, which is also another cause. Like, you need somebody to do it in the first place to kind of make people see that they can do it. Like, you need another disabled artist that's like, I don't know, like it's massive, just like Drake, or like a pop star that's disabled. I think that's a good start to inspire kind of the next generation, because like growing up there wasn't anybody that looked like me on stage, or a DJ or a producer that I knew of. So I guess that's really important as well, just to kind of make people believe.
Yeah, 100%, and it's we've got. Do you know what? I don't. This is I wonder if this is relevant. I'm going to actually just play this. I just seen this today. So just talking about role models, and this just randomly was I seen today, just when you were saying that about role models.
Yeah.
And so this is a lady, an Irish girl. I think I'm guessing the accent's Irish. She was at Premier Battles, and it looks like she's just started battling one of the rappers, and
Oh,
Premier
really?
Battles has shared it. So hopefully you can hear it okay, because sometimes it's a bit funny when you're going from Instagram. But here we go.
Come as a shock to you. Body won't join, nobody told you. But even in the wheelchair, it won't stop me. But walking all over you. And the way I look,
Yes.
I come as a shock to you. Body won't join, nobody told you. But even in the wheelchair, it won't stop me. But walking all over you.
So I'll just get her name as well. But so she's like she's a rapper, and I think a rapper, but that's Premier Battles, and Premier Battles shared it. She's getting lots of love there. So her tag is Angie Morley Music. I'll just put that in the screen for anyone who's.
I want to check her out, man. You contact her, maybe do a collab or something, man.
Yeah, Angie Morley Music, and it's especially battle rap as well, because like battle rap's such a sort of a harsh climate, man.
Aye. I can imagine, man. I can imagine.
It's hard, but that it's great. I thought that was good, and hopefully someone who's in a wheelchair that can see that and go, well, she's actually
exactly,
doing something at Premier Battles, which if people don't know, that's the biggest battle rap thing. And like I said, I don't know if it was part of a bigger show. I don't know exactly the context of it, but Premier Battles are worth sharing it.
Nice one. That's pretty cool.
The MP was Pamela Duncan Glancy.
That's
it. Al.
That's the one.
Okay, and I thought the underground, when it was closed, was to create better access. So either that was a lot of shite, or maybe there has been some improvements since you last checked out. What do you say, Sanjeev? Was that just a load of shite?
I don't know, man. That was like the last time I checked was like a year ago. I don't know if I didn't know it was closed or anything, obviously, because I don't use it. But I need to try that out. Maybe that's the next mission.
Yeah, I was surprised that only 2 undergrounds are equipped for disabled access. It's a huge problem. Yeah, I mean, there's probably, to be fair, I can think of at least one subway that is probably just impossible to sort out, but the rest of them, we should be looking at that. But you just sent me a link to something.
Aye, so I sent you a couple of links.
Okay, what's this?
So the first one is something I made for BBC The Social a couple of years ago. It went viral, which was pretty sick. So
cool. Okay, I'll play it.
I won't say too much.
We'll just wait. With no introduction, we'll talk about it after it. We'll just play it. Okay, let's just play it. So I think this is actually the first time. I don't know if it's this one in particular, but I do remember you doing some content for The Social. I think before I'd even met you virtually. So let's just.
And that's the first link or the second one?
I don't know. I've got. Don't be a dick to people in wheelchairs.
Go for that one.
This I might get a slap in the wrist from BBC for playing this, but hopefully not. If we're watching, Sanjeev made this and he's given us permission, so please don't be a dick and slap us with a copyright.
Exactly.
I was just saying there, why you parked here this space?
Just give me a minute, pal, watch.
I thought actually, just thought you were just parking here for just to go into town there. I'm really sorry. Sorry, I'm going.
Do you know what you want? You're looking at gin, spirits again?
Yes, Ben.
Oh, I'm looking at tea. Quite good. Also, Ange, do you want a drink?
I have a wee vodka. Vodka? Vodka with naan, give it.
Oh, hey boys, is it your big day yet? Hope you have it fun.
I've not been out in years. I just opened it this evening, closed it the other day. Probably go out more than you.
No need to be such a cheeky pal.
Started laughing and I'm like,
I
snap or something.
just talking about the weather.
What will be a licence for that? Hey. Ben will be driving either. See you later.
And he thinks you're the first person to crack that joke. That's how you do it at the pub for me. Save yourself the embarrassment. Don't be a wanker.
Brilliant stuff.
So I think that kind of sums up what I was meaning about people having low expectations. I'm just saying, people like getting applauded just for like going to the pub or just generally contributing to society and like being social and things like that. So yeah, I think that's just something that summed that up, and kind of the statements that I get that I've heard like about 100 times.
Low expectations and shite patter.
Exactly, man.
The
So
drink
I'm
driving
just,
one. Yeah. So what's the other one we've got here?
yeah, so the other one's quite good. It's about something called inspiration porn.
Okay.
And yeah, I'll let the video the video describe that.
Okay. Let me just give me a second. Set this up. So this is also another one from the social BBC. Let's see.
Have you ever seen an image of a disabled person with the message, only disability in life is a bad attitude? Or what's your excuse again? Well, that is a perfect example of something called inspiration porn. First coined by Stella Young, 2014, it's a term used to describe imagery of disabled people with the sole purpose to benefit non-disabled people. It may come with good intention, but in my view it's extremely harmful, especially to society in its portrayal of disabled people. In short, inspiration porn is used to describe society's tendency to reduce people with disabilities down to objects of inspiration. This is most often displayed through images, videos, or feel-good articles across social media and news. It directly involves the depiction across the media, especially online through social media platforms, and is now a viral term used to illustrate people with disabilities in a pitiful manner, and in recent years becoming more prevalent. But why is it so harmful? They may have good intentions, but these images typically portray people as objects to satisfy their able-bodied counterparts, instead of making a positive impact on society. They often give the impression that disabled people are inspiring just by doing simple tasks or activities that any other able-bodied person would do, like going to university, competing in sports, working, or even just getting out of bed in the morning. I'm not inspiring just because I have a disability, and it's unfair to suggest that doing everyday things should be applauded just because I do it a bit differently. A common trope like bravery only adds to common misconceptions that have now become systematic and deeply rooted in our society. Disabled people are not here to simply inspire and motivate, but to live our lives. Yes, some of us may have had traumatic or inspirational stories, but some of us don't. We've been selling a lie that disability is a bad thing. It isn't. But what's my opinion on inspiration porn? It may have good intentions, but in my opinion, it's frustrating that disabled people are being illustrated in this way. As a disabled person, I don't feel like I've done anything exceptional or special just by doing normal things like going to university or pursuing a career. In fact, there have been many times in the past where people have approached me and praised me for inspiring them by simply going to the shop or even going outside. People seem to underestimate what disabled people are capable of, and this needs to change, especially if we want to move forward and challenge perception. This is exactly what has become institutionalised, and we need to collectively move away from the ideology that different equals negative connotations. This all starts with education, especially through schools, colleges, and yes, the media too. It needs to be normalised. The next time you see this imagery, remember to see the person, not the object that motivates or inspires you. In the words of the late Stella Young, inspiration porn gives the impression that living with a disability makes you exceptional. It's not a bad thing, and it doesn't make you exceptional.
Amazing stuff. Hold on, I'll just. So lots to think about there. And I'm sure probably people maybe watching that maybe not thought about this before, because I know that did fall into this trap myself about maybe
Aye.
4 or 5 years ago. I shared something, and I was corrected that it was, like it was of that thing.
Yeah.
Also, it wasn't anything bad. I can't remember
I
exactly.
think it's pretty innocent. I think a lot of the time it is innocent. It's just good for people to know that it can still be harmful even if it's innocent or if you don't
Well, I mean,
know about it.
the examples that came up on the screen there, like, what's your excuse? I mean, I think I can tell intrinsically that's not really good. Because I think people, it kind of demeans people that are struggling as well, that maybe can't also. That's another side of it as well, isn't it? Like, I know I seen somebody, I think it was like a Joe Rogan a YouTube short or something that came on.
Yeah.
And it was like, what's your excuse? I think he was talking to Jordan Peterson's daughter, and he was like, well, he should have just got up and did his exercises. And she's like, no, he was depressed. He was, I think he was coming off with some sort of Valium addiction or something. And she's like, no, you just get yourself up. If you can do something, you can do something. And then it was just like, how attached for people who are really depressed, they can't leave their bed, and that's when we talk about people that are even able to do that at all. Physically.
It's quite interesting that I think that's something that I've kind of realised as I grew up, is that like one person's problem doesn't equate to being more of a problem, like, you know what I mean, to the next person. So like everybody's got their individual battles, and like me being disabled doesn't, like, it's not really any worse or any better than anything else. So like everybody goes through things. This just happens to be my challenge, I guess. So it's a good way of looking at it.
100%, and I was also wanting to play one of your tunes as well to give people a bit of a flavour of the kind of music, because there's a lot of people that like their hip hop, that watch the show. So what should we go for?
I don't know, if you're thinking more kind of hip hop, because a lot of our music is quite varied. Because I've got a big sort of grunge and metal.
What tune are you proud of just now? What one are you quite pleased with?
It's
a banger.
Probably listen to the remix quite a lot, and also the track with Impress and Gluco. I'm really liking those two.
Okay, is it on YouTube or will I need to go to Spotify?
It'll be on Spotify, man. I need to start putting more stuff on my YouTube. I don't really use it.
I use DistroKid, which is really cheap, man. And it just puts it on everything at the same time. So
see, I always untick the YouTube box. I don't know why.
Well, do you know what? I sometimes do that as well. I do it when I think that there's a video coming. Because if there's a video coming, it's quite annoying to have two YouTube, because it basically it means that they're taking views off each other.
Less traffic in it.
Yeah, so it also annoys me sometimes when people upload the same thing to YouTube.
Again,
aye. It's
That's annoying.
So we've got this is episode. I was just wondering about that. Yeah, because like if I upload the song to YouTube, usually I usually don't tick the box if I think there's a video coming. But then I was wrong. I did one recently and I thought there was a video coming, and the video's been filmed, but it's stuck on a memory card that's not working, which is annoying. That is annoying.
Like the annoying thing about YouTube is that like it doesn't publish it on your actual YouTube. It makes a new one called like Supermann Topic, I think it's called, or something like that. So it's not actually you can't go and upload it or take things down.
That's correct. Aye, you're right, man. It's and it's also there's no comments as well, which is annoying. You can't have comments on it. So I'm just gonna. Oh, hold on. YouTube is annoying for music distro sometimes. Prophet 64 with another one. Yep.
Go. What a producer.
He is a fantastic producer. I seen him in Friday night doing his thing. He was DJing for Sweet Rogue at McCool's. I was just walking down the street and I bumped into him and I was just like, I'll stay. So that was great to see that. A nice surprise. So I'm just what I'm doing just now is I am doing a password reset because I've not logged into Spotify since I've resetted my PC because I was having sound issues. So I'm just doing that just now. So let's talk about this track. Was is Gluco and Empress?
No, so they're two different tracks.
Two different tracks. Okay, well, could we just talk about while I'm just getting this set up? I noticed I seen a video of Gluco speaking of him, he was doing a video of he live streamed from your gig at Nice and Sleazy's. Which so I've still not made it down to one, man. It's always been on a Sunday. I've just been busy, but I've seen a bit of his live stream and it looked great. And Sleazy's, so there's a good example of a venue who obviously has that basement issue going on, where it's not wheelchair accessible. But what they did was they opened up the bar area to you. So could we talk a little bit about that?
I think that's a really good example of how like it's not always the physical access, just attitudes. That kind of encapsulates that quite well. So so obviously we had our show at the Glad Cafe. I think it was only in July, so we've not actually been doing it that long, so it's went quite fast. But yeah, they kind of heard good things from the Glad Cafe, and so they asked me if I wanted to like do a show or maybe like a residency, which is pretty cool. So they asked me, and obviously most people know that Nice and Sleazy isn't accessible in terms of like the main venue area, because down those set of stairs, isn't it? So it's in the basement. But so they obviously really wanted to make it happen. And there's always like a way around something. I think that's just me as like a disabled person. You sort of need to think like that because like the barriers. But there's always a way around it. I guess like the way around everything, I believe. So they were just like, oh, we could maybe do it in the bar area. Obviously it's not like we'd prefer a stage in that, but it's the best like we could have made it the situation. So it was really good that they actually like really wanted to make it work, rather than like I feel like most venues would just be like, oh, we can't do it then, but they actually like tried to seek a way around it and tried to find out if they could do it upstairs, and they managed. So we've got a nice little setup. It's pretty cool. It feels it's a good vibe, and if you come along, you can feel like it's a proper like community spirit about it. I feel like that everybody knows each other. Everybody's kind of chilled, like there's no pressure. But it's a really nice atmosphere, and
so
we're slowly building it.
So is it got a specific day that the Sleazy gig happens?
Man. So it's every third Sunday of the month.
Every third Sunday. So that
at 6:30.
So 4th, 11th, 18th. The next one, 19th.
19th,
yep. Next one will be the 19th of March. That's good because we're doing a thing on the last Sunday of every month now. The Sound Speakeasy.
That's cool.
We plug for that. Hunter McMustard, Becky Walsh, Dr. Normal, Wee D and Wraith, Dram for a Song, and Kev Hill this Sunday at 7 p.m. You can stream live on this channel, so you can. And if you're a patron, if you support this show on Patreon or you're a YouTube member, give me a shout. I have got about maybe 5 or 10 tickets I can give away for free to supporters of the show. So, we're just wanting to do a wee live speakeasy because we do club anyway, and every Wednesday with the DJs. But want to get some hip hop, some poetry, some acoustic, just basically everything that's not got live drums, because live drums is a bit risky just now for us. So I'm just going to bring up the Spotify on the screen just now. So this is a bit of the catalogue here. Yeah, I've had a couple of releases recently actually that I put out the other day, and got a release on Friday actually with my good friend Random Brown Kid. Just kind of had a good introduction to the scene. Recently, a lot of people didn't really know about him. But to be honest, I didn't know much about him until the last 6 months. I would say it's just been constant.
Mm-hmm. He's everywhere, man.
He is everywhere. He's been playing lots of gigs, and and it's a really interesting sound he's got. So so is that one been released on Friday? You said.
So that's out on Friday, but Unwind is the one with the Empress. It's a pretty.
Okay, we'll go for the Empress one. Do I need to download anything? Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Well, that's good news. This is Unwind. Superman on the beat and Empress. Let us know in the comments what you make of it.
to different rhythms and tune. I'm in full bloom, like the flowers I gifted the new moon. No doom, no gloom, I'm the weaver of my beautiful loom. Get that healing feeling, what? I can feel it coming soon. I need to quit the cues, need to quit this overthinking too. If it isn't true, what is too much thinking gonna do? Switch off the news, cause it only brings the blues. I need to find some peace of mind, and something that is so true. What? My house smelling like fresh flowers and incense, right? We're making love but there's no tomorrow all through the night. I'm bound in a round bright white light. Astral projection got me sitting high, asking questions like, if we're 7-8% water and the moon controls the tides, I wonder how that's relevant to all of this human life. If we're 7-8% water and the moon controls the tides, I wonder how that's relevant to all this human life. Now I'm feeling like I've got the plan to get my mind up, nice vibes unwind. It's time to get stuck to myself for a bit. I want to be selfish a bit. I said it's time to unwind. I've got the plan to get my mind up, nice vibes unwind. It's time to get stuck to myself for a bit. I want to be selfish a bit. Said it's time to unwind. We all need time to heal. We all need time to feel. We all need time to heal. We all need time to feel like. Empress, Superman just made another one.
Amazing stuff. That was Superman on the Beat featuring Empress, and absolute banger.
Aye, it's quite interesting one, that one. Like, a lot of my stuff is usually quite dark, but that was a bit more kind of poppy and a bit more sort of jazzy as well. Jazzy
So
vibes.
who influenced you to make the beats? Is there any particular people?
I've had quite a lot. Like, my music taste is like super varied, so it kind of bounces around. Like, people that know me probably know that, like, I play pretty much get any type of beat you can think of, really. I think a lot of my inspirations come from obviously boom bap, 90s old school stuff like Nas, who's like my number one. Guys like Tribe Called Quest, Wu-Tang, all the good stuff. And then also a lot of like metal. Like, I grew up listening to kind of metal in my school days, sort of metal and emo stuff as well. So that's kind of really heavily influenced my sound. And then also like grunge is quite a big influence. Obviously Nirvana is like probably one of my biggest influences. It's kind of why a lot of my stuff is like kind of guitar driven. It's kind of got dark kind of rock guitars, I would say, and grunge. So yeah, but then I also really love reggae. Like, that was always on in the house, and the kind of Bollywood and Bhangra as well. So like, it's super varied. It kind of bounces around, but yeah, I also really like kind of modern hip hop, trap. People like Future really inspire me. I like Kanye West as well. I don't know if that's a bad one at the moment, but he definitely inspires me.
Well, it's a slightly trip hop breakcore vibe with the Empress track.
Okay.
Big Al saying brilliant, and Ali Grant says quite dreamy beats, nice combo with Empress. And yeah, it's aye man. Every beat that you've sent has been really impressive, because you actually sent me, I think it was maybe like a wee batch of 10 or something at the start. I can't
Probably,
remember.
aye.
Yeah, because we're going to get a wee collab, and well, we still will. It was just I didn't get it done in time, but it's just been amazing seeing all the collaborations you've got coming through, and everyone check it out. Superman on the Beat. That's 2 N's. Not the way I know how to spell it, but I still spell it wrong. I think I just hit the N, didn't press the N hard the second time. So go and check out Superman on the Beat on Spotify. We have the petition. If you're watching on YouTube, the petition is in the bio down here somewhere. Go and sign the petition. And what else? What else have you got coming up? What should people be looking out for? Is there any other way that people can support your music or the petition or anything else?
Yeah, just sign the petition. Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram, stuff like that, or Ask Superman, and Twitter, Ask Sanjeev. But yeah, there's quite a lot happening this year. Got quite a lot of plans with collabs, especially with a few bigger artists from like down south, kind of grime scene. I'm working with Grim Sickers as well, who we brought up for a show a couple of weeks ago at the Poetry Club. So he's like quite a known sort of grime MC. So we've got that. And yeah, just loads of collabs with local artists. Got something coming to the Texture next month.
Gaffer, Bram.
Aye, the Gaffer.
He's brilliant. He is brilliant.
So we've got a wee joint EP coming out next next couple of months. Working on an EP with Ann as well from Dope Sick Fly.
Wow, yeah.
So that'd be really cool. Looking forward
he's
to
brilliant.
that one. Aye, he's great, man.
He's so busy as well, isn't he? He's got I think he's in 2 bands that I know of, but I'm pretty sure there's a third one somewhere as well.
Aye, he's in 3, and then he's also kind of doing the solo stuff as well, man. So
yeah, he sent me some of his solo
band
stuff. It sounds amazing. It's kind of like more like a kind of boom bap vibe, if I remember it. No, funk soul vibe. It was a funk soul vibe.
Yeah, man. Yeah, there's kind of that vibe to the beats that we've kind of been working on, but a lot of them are sort of modern trap. So I don't think people would be expecting that, but it's really it really slaps. Yeah, I got that, and then what else is happening, man? Got a few projects just sort of under there. I got funded for my first solo project, which will be coming out at the end of the year, which will be like spoken word pretty much. So I'll be doing the spoken word vocals about issues facing disabled people, and that's gonna combine. It's gonna be quite quite punky, elements of punk, grunge, and metal with like kind of modern hip hop. So yeah, that'll be fun. I'm looking forward to that. So there's lots bubbling. Few releases coming out soon, and yeah, some cool collabs across genres as well. I think that's the sort of the aim as well this year, is to do more remixes, kind of into the kind of rock metal scene as well, and also I got a good few remixes coming up from like kind of rock bands and kind of indie bands as well. So it's going to be an exciting year, man.
Oh, I've got some stems for you if you want a shot of guitar bands. We've got some stems kicking about.
I send it through. I love this one, man.
No, that'd be brilliant. Okay, man. Well, thank you very much, mate. Yeah, so I've put Instagram and everyone give him a follow on Ask Superman 2 N's on Insta, and Ask Sanjeev on Twitter.
Yeah, I should probably make them the same, but yeah.
Actually, one of the things I want to ask you as well is I've just noticed, because I hashtagged accessibility, a GAD bot said, it looks like you're interested in accessibility. If you add alt text to your images, they'll be accessible to blind, partially sighted and neurodivergent people who use screen reader software. So, I don't really know. Or learn how to make images accessible. Okay, I'm going to look at it.
It's sort of like a description, man. So, like,
yeah,
it's just like a wee description of what's on the screen. So it can be quite simple. So yeah, that.
Yeah, I think I'm going to do that, and I'm just going to try and be more aware, because I know that things like subtitles would be better, but the software has not. I've not found any software that understands what I'm talking about yet.
There's very few. Man.
I try my best when I'm doing a podcast to slow it down and stuff. I mean, there's we get much more sort of more difficult accents on this show.
Especially with the old Ayrshire accent.
Yeah.
The same boat.
Good Ayrshire boy. Good Ayrshire. Well, if you're going to Sammy B, I don't know if you know Pixie Brown, but she's the deepest, darkest Ayrshire. She's got a crackery accent, but that's proper Burns country.
Exactly. But I actually stayed not far. For like Robert Burns and that, the house and stuff. So.
All right, aye. Good stuff, man.
I was born in Glasgow though, but aye.
Aye. Retiring air.
Okay.
That's what I think it might be quite good. I think it might be quite good for sort of for making music. So obviously you kind of like go, you think you're shite, and then after decades in a city, it starts to.
Aye.
It seems to seem a bit more.
It's pretty chill, it's nice. It's pretty chill, like, you know, it's not really that busy. I do quite like it up here.
Yeah.
And also, like, people always think it's miles away from Glasgow. Like, so many people think it's 2 hours away. I'm like, it takes about 45 minutes. Like,
it's not that bad.
Yeah.
But everybody, anything that outside of the city centre's Chukter, you know.
Aye,
people in
miles
Glasgow
away.
consider Paisley Chukter and out in the sticks. So, aye, it's a Glasgow-centric way of looking at the world. Well in, Sanjeev, glad I stopped by, says Al. Ayrshir's huge.
It's massive. People don't realise that. Like,
I know. People just go, oh, I've got, do you know Steve from Ayr? Do you know Steve from Ayr? No, it's a big place, and aye. But anyway, man, it's been a pleasure speaking to you.
aye, thanks a lot, man. Thanks a lot
for everyone. Thanks everyone tuned in tonight. If you just joined us for the interview tonight, you can actually go and watch back. I did an interview between 7 and 8 earlier on tonight with the cast of a brand new STV comedy called Dirty Water. So you can watch that back if you've missed it. And we also, last week we had Save Govan Docks by Ona McLeod, The History of Goth with John Robb, and Club Anywhere with Captain Barrett. So it's quite a busy week. And tomorrow, Club Anywhere returns. So every Wednesday night we have a live stream from our secret underground lair. And tomorrow we've got Alien Disco, Rodent and Technocrat, which is drum and bass, hard tech, breaks, acid, hardcore, and a wee bit of gab, I'm sure, in there as well. So it's a live visual and audio feast every Wednesday night. It's free to watch on our YouTube channel. So once again, if you are watching on Facebook, Twitch, or Twitter, I think we're on all those platforms tonight, go to youtube.com/ you call that radio, or the @ YCTR, because it looks better, it sounds better, and that's where we'll have the Club Anyway show, and that's where we're going to have our Sound Speakeasy on the last Sunday of every month. Free, completely free to watch, and 100% live and interactive. So hope you can join us tomorrow night for Club Anyway, and Sunday for Sound Speakeasy.
Seems busy, man. Seems super busy. Lots going on.
Lots happening, mate. There's always lots happening.
No excuse in it. No excuse not to support the local scene and that.
No excuse not to support it.
No excuse.
And if you're skint, you can always just hit like and subscribe. And if you can afford £3 a month, become a patron, because that's how we can keep building and doing more and more. And so yeah, man, next gig for you is March the 19th.
March the 19th, Hip Hop Scotland.
Have you got a lineup for that yet?
No, we don't. We don't yet, but it'll be keep updated on the Hip Hop Scotland Instagram. Actually, I forgot about that. hiphop.scotland. We do gigs regularly. We've got a playlist that's building quite nicely, all the best of Scottish hip hop and R&B and stuff like that. And we also have
actually,
the podcast.
You know what? The podcast, I'm going to just give that a wee plug, because I think there's people that watch this show that would really like that. So it's on Spotify, isn't it?
If you type in the Hip Hop Scotland podcast, it should come up.
Yeah, I'll just put a wee link in the comments just before we go, because I think people might enjoy that. Because there's some great names you've got in there. What kind of guests have you had so far?
We've had hundreds. We've had MC Salem. We've had Kid Robotic, Philomena. I'm working at R&B artists, which I'm trying to push a bit more as well. A few sort of alt kind of rappers, kind of emo rock sort of rap stuff as well. We've had loads of guests went across sort of genres. It's every month now. It used to be every 2 weeks, but also with the gigs and that, we've put it down to
it's tough, isn't it?
Monthly. It's ongoing. Like, it's a lot of recording, editing, and all that. So,
yeah, I'm trying. I mean, people do say that you need to have a specific plan, and it's been quite good that Club Anyway's happened every Wednesday, but that's a lot. That's down to mostly down to Murphamish's hard work, and just trying to have a specific day, especially for doing the live stuff, because like last week I had 2 great guests on a Wednesday night, and they were both clashing tonight. The same thing. 2 people wanted to do it on a Tuesday, and it's what I can't predict, and I'm not just going to do a show for the sake of it. I'm not.
Sometimes it's really hard to judge. Like, when they're going being on a Sunday, like, you think you know when it's going to be busy when you don't, but you've got no idea. Like, it's funny. Like, even when we've had probably like kind of more known lineups, it's not been busy, and then randomly it's busy 1 week and next week. So it's really hard to tell, man, isn't it?
It is as well. It can also be the when you get You know, say for example, occasionally we get a famous person on the on this show here, but they don't even acknowledge it or share it. And then somebody who's just maybe not even released a single yet, they maybe just share it, and it makes all a difference. So, yeah, the Hip Hop Scotland podcast. I'm just scrolling down here. So there's some amazing people. You've got Dope Sick Fly and Cam Dunbar. You've got Suzanne.
That's a cool one.
It's just
Becca Starwood's probably one of my favourite. It was about 2 hours.
Star's there.
You've got to spare 2 hours. And, Miles, that was good.
Random Brown Kid was just talking about, but just go have a wee look, and it's a great audio podcast, and some of the best hip hop acts in the country on that. So thank you very much, mate. I think we're
no probs. Thanks a lot.
Last comments. Thanks, guys. Nice to hear of what you're doing, Sanjeev. Keep on raising awareness. Thanks, Mark and Sanjeev and Mark. Great chat. And my phone understands me. I'm East End Brogue Glaswegian. It's a freaking mind reader. Good for you, mate. What kind of phone you got? I've never Insta or Twittered or Facebook. Just know my hing. But I've got Spotify. Well, there you go. Check out the podcast, and also check out Supermann on the Beat to hear more of his brilliant collaborations and those banging beats. We'll see you tomorrow night for Club Anyway. And all the best, mate.
Cheers, man. Cheers. Yeah.
And bye.
Your call is very important. Please hold.